Welcome to bonus episode number 5, the Flor Fest. So, the Flor Fest was an event that took place on April 5th, 2019 at the IMC, and it benefited the Up Center. So, what's not to love? It had over 20 acts. It had a mix of music and poetry. And you know what? I said, I'm going to go take my phone and let's find out what this is all about. So I hope you enjoy this episode of the Flor Fest. This is Champagne is Also a Band podcast. One songwriter, one song. I'm Sven, your host for a journey into the music of Champaign-Urbana. Recorded in the Blue Box studio with the songwriter from the Champaign-Urbana music scene, past or present. This is a bonus episode that I recorded back in April. It is the Flor Fest. So Flor Fest is put on by the Flor Poetry RSO, and that's Registered Student Organization. I was able to sit down and talk with Dania and Edgar, who organized the Flor Fest, as well as Nick Pitingolo, which you may remember from one of our episodes, episode 9. So what I thought was really neat about this event was, one, it was combining the campus scene and the IMC and also the DIY scene, all kind of wrapped up into one. And not only that, but it was a fundraiser for the Up Center. And with this being Pride Month, I thought, this would be a great time to hear all about the Flor Fest and talk with some of the people that put it on, and also take a moment to talk to the vice president and the president of the Up Center and hear about the services that this organization provides. And it's an amazing resource for the Champaign-Urbana area. Hey, if you got a moment, take a moment and maybe even just find them on the internet and make a donation. Give something special for them. I'm very excited to share this episode and these interviews about the Flor Fest, and I think that the Flor Fest will be better and better, not only because of the dedication of the people that put it together, but also because, hey, what can I say? It's the Champaign-Urbana music scene kind of coming to life in all the ways that it does well. So enjoy these interviews and hopefully, learn a little something. Anyway, here, first up, is me talking to Edgar and Dania about organizing the Flor Fest.
So I'm Edgar. I'm originally the president for Flor Poetry, which eventually created Flor Fest. CU, yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. And your name?
I'm Dania, and I am the vice president of Flor Fest.
What made you decide to start this? I'm assuming this is going to be an annual thing.
Hopefully.
What's your impression of why this was necessary? And
well, for me, I've always liked organizing events, and then seeing some festivals that go or nationwide, like Warped Tour, recently, I thought why not start more local actual festivals with local artists, and the Champaign-Urbana area has such a good amount of great bands. So I was just let's go for it. Why not?
So Edgar kind of brought this idea up to me, and before that, for the longest time, I just really wanted to just continue being more involved with the music community. I have no musical talent whatsoever. I can't even, I cannot carry a tune, nothing. But I still appreciate and enjoy music and just love all of the hard work that this community in particular puts into music. And I didn't have anyone really around me that wanted to do this until I met Edgar, and he was kind of like, hey, I have this idea, and I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's actually do this because it's amazing.
This is also done through the Flor Poetry. How did that transition?
So basically what ended up happening was that Flor Poetry originally started as writing poetry and doing workshops and then hanging out, doing activities, just doing regular college stuff. And then eventually we just decided hey, we should turn this around and do a 360 and start focusing on more of the arts aspect as well. So that's how we started doing music as well.
So how Flor Fest actually came along was in a Flor Poetry meeting, and I'm this memory is, I think of it so fondly, but I remember we were just it was at the end of an open mic that we had held, and that's when he brought up the idea to me. And we just literally took over the room and just started brainstorming ideas. We started writing things out on the board. I think in we stayed there 2 hours after our allotted time, and we had planned out so much of it. So if it wasn't for Flor Poetry, Flor Fest would not be happening. So.
And you normally meet here at the IMC? Is that the Flor Poetry?
For the first semester, we ended up meeting in Gregory Hall. That's at the University of Illinois. Mm-hmm. And then for the second semester, we got assigned to Lincoln Hall. But we've had a couple of events that are at different places. We had one at the Red Herring, mm-hmm. and we're going to have one at the Spurlock Museum.
Yeah. So the reason that we wanted to choose IMC was because it is a pillar that we want to support, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
In the community, and what they do, what they stand for is just so important, especially for local artists. So we wanted to that's why we chose this place.
When did you also decide that this would be a charity event, and then also your choice of the Up Center as the beneficiary of this event?
Well, I've worked for a lot of nonprofits. Previously, I did work with the Human Rights Campaign, Doctors Without Borders, the ASPCA, and currently I'm also doing stuff for Planned Parenthood. So I always have been doing nonprofit and you could say charity work. So it's something that I just thought, why would we keep the money? It just feels selfish. So I wanted to give have the community provide for the community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So have
absolutely.
Yeah. So the music community, they're great. They can, and then a lot of these artists support the ideals and the principles that the Up Center upholds. So we're just why not combine both of them? They could help each other out.
You know what? How can we say that we're supporting our community, bringing in all of these local artists, and we're not even supporting a local charity? So then that's when we're you know what? The Up Center is perfect because it's the same principles, but it's local and it helps our youth too.
How long have you been working on this project to get this off the ground and running? And
I'd say mid-January. It was a week and a half into coming back for second semester of U of I. After that, we just started exactly hitting it. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I've organized a few local events for charities, and I'm wondering if you've also had the same experience where it seems like you don't really have to ask. You don't have to have the hard ask. You just have to mention it, and for the most part, the artist will just be well, yeah, where do I need to be? And I'm just curious if that's been kind of your experience as well.
That is completely our experience. One of the great things about Flor Fest is that everything is pretty much donated. So the musicians' time was donated. The venue was kind of donated. Everybody just saw this need and just went in to fill it. We've kept our actual operational costs down to $15, I think.
Yeah, it was $30 afterwards, but
yeah,
it was pretty
30.
low. Yeah, it was pretty low. We bought a $12 domain, and then also $3 tape, and then the wristbands. So,
oh yeah, the wristbands. So
yeah.
that's all that has come out.
And then certain percentage of that cut has to go to the venue, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Obviously, the IMC right now is struggling, so that's nothing that we're fighting for. If anything,
yeah.
I think that it would benefit the actual venue, and that's something that we're proud of.
We're actually hoping to have our next Flor Fest benefit the IMC, just because they're
awesome. Well, and in some ways, they are a nonprofit in themselves, so you are, in a sense, supporting a nonprofit as well by doing this event. Let's see, is there anybody in particular that you're excited to see, or they're all just wonderful?
Everybody, to be honest. So that first night that we had actually planned, or that Flor Fest really just became an idea for us, we went to another local show here, actually, at the IMC, and I just fell in love with every single musician, and then just going through the process of getting artists to play, every single one of them just has this amazing talent and gift, and I'm just so giddy to see them perform.
I like the whole lineup as well. Pretty much I can't really say that I'm nailing it down to any one act or anything like that. I think that I'm super excited. I guess if anything, I should be more excited about all the bands that traveled from the Chicagoland area, since we don't usually get that, and a lot of them are actually bands from my hometown that I originally didn't even know that they were playing music until they're oh, you're hosting a music festival, can I play too? And then it just kind of became that. I started posting about it. I posted it in the DIY page and my Snapchat, and then eventually people started getting on my back, basically saying we really want to play it. And
we had to stop him. We had to be Edgar, stop posting about the festival and asking bands to play, because we had reached 20, and that was enough.
Great. Something that I do think that I should mention, and I like being fully transparent about things, that I wish I could have done better was get more female acts. But every attempt to get a female act had fell apart. So originally I was trying to get Retirement Party from Chicago, since they have a female-led vocalist. So I thought that would be pretty cool. And then that didn't work out. So I also tried Nectar and Cowabunga Kid. So those were the next things. But one of the members that's in both bands was not available. So
gotcha.
That fell apart as well. So
and then also, This Is a Stick Up has she's not able to play, but so one of my high school friends, actually, which I did not know this until 2 nights ago, she's the frontman for This Is a Stick Up. And they're actually playing tonight, which I did not know until she posted about Flor Fest, and I was wait, what? So I'm actually really excited to see them.
Yeah. Excellent. I think it's interesting you decided to do kind of a mix of music and poetry. I'm assuming that's what the 5-minute blocks are for somebody to read poetry. Was that a decision just because you thought this would be a great way to also showcase some of the Flor artists? How was that put together?
Well, yeah, I thought that. So yes, for that question, but also there's another reason behind it. So something that we were talking about was how you get annoyed just waiting for the next band to go and stuff. So that way we thought that poets could fill in the gap. So that way we could have a continuous flow of bands building up to midnight. And even though it says that it's going to end at around 11:55, we know that there should be technical difficulties around some point, or setup, or problems with setting up and things. So we know that it's going to end a little bit later. So.
And we have planned for that, because almost not everyone, quite a few of our members are going to be reading poetry. And I feel we all have enough material that if we do have technical difficulties, either one of us can start reading, or we can have a singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar perform something, just so that we're constantly giving our audience content.
Yeah. I noticed that you had 2 stages set up, is that right? So you the larger stages for maybe the more louder, the bands, and then the smaller is for more of the singer-songwriter acoustic. Okay. Well, this is exciting. I don't know, is your stomach full of butterflies?
I'm so giddy. I know that this is just a podcast and you can't see my face, but I am so excited for this to be happening. To be honest, I did not think that it would come together as smoothly as everybody made it run, but that just we just have such an amazing team. We've got Nick. Well, 2 Nicks, right?
Yeah,
2 Nicks, and they both helped us so much.
That's all the Nick you need, actually.
Yeah, there you go. And everybody kind of just put in a lot of work in this, and I feel we have not expressed our gratitude enough for them. So
Yeah. And who did the graphic art for the posters and for the posters, but whatever you... what's the word? But anyway, the graphic art, who put that together?
There's two people that did the graphics. So I originally made the original graphics, but then eventually, we ended up going to a DIY show at Blips and Chits.
And I ran into an old friend, or a mutual friend of mine, just a friend of mine. And I was like, hey, so we're doing this festival. It's amazing. And she's just like, do you need a graphic designer? And I'm like, yes, completely. Please do it. And she's like, awesome. She had that poster ready in 24 hours, 48 hours, I want to say. So she was quick. She's like, I want to get this out. And we've already hired her on for next year and for the year after that. So she's going to be our official.
Do you want to give her name a shout out?
Yeah. So Brooke Armstrong is our graphic designer, and she's just phenomenal.
Wonderful. I look forward to maybe just kind of catching you midway somewhere along the way and getting your insights on, how it's going and, things that you're thinking about. So after interviewing Edgar and Dania, I was able to track down Nick, and they were quite busy. So I really appreciate Nick taking the time to talk to me about what their own experiences with organizing this event. So, Nick, thank you so much. So, how did you get involved with the Flor Fest?
Edgar messaged the Goldstein Sound Facebook page asking if we could help set up a festival, specifically the venue and the sound work. And I didn't realize it was going to be this big at first, so I was like, yeah, whatever, And then it ended up being a 21 band downward spiral from there.
I mean, it looks pretty stacked, and it's just nonstop, which I'm sure you're kind of, yeah.
0 breaks. I'm going to be going from the main stage immediately to the acoustic stage and back and forth until midnight.
So you got involved, and then just tell me a little bit about what this fest will mean to you, going forward, and then even for future events if you so desire.
This fest has opened my horizons to Boneyard, and first time I've had a show be in the Daily Illini, the News Gazette, visit Champaign-Urbana. So it's opened a lot of weird doors just because it's so big and so publicized so far.
So you're running the sound and you're setting up, but you also helped get some bands and...
Let's get 2, to be fair. Edgar did all of the footwork on that. I can't take credit.
What does this event mean to you particularly? It seems like it's a good stepping stone for you, as a big venue.
A step towards unifying the campus and DIY scene in a big way, because there's such a good mix here and there's going to be such a different mix of people. It's been 2 separate scenes for way too long. There's no reason for it. The campus scene is pretty much students. It goes in and out. It stops during the summer and winter, and it's mostly parties. Whereas the DIY scene is just dedicated show after show, and when those 2 scenes come together, something crazy happens, and it happens maybe once every few months. But this is the largest scale of that I've ever seen.
Gotcha. So, are they? Is this linked with the Boneyard Arts Festival as well? Because it didn't seem like it made. I don't know if that connection was made, at least in my mind.
So we're on the Boneyard site, and they just emailed us one day because they saw we were doing something at IMC, and they were like, well, we're right there anyway, so how about you be a part of Boneyard?
Awesome. That's great. No, it's awesome. And anyway, yeah, you need to go. All right, so I took an opportunity to sit down and interview some of the performers. So the music that I'm using in between as transitions are actually from Karthik's set. So enjoy.
Karthik Kakarala, aka Of Course You Realize.
Awesome. And so you had a set just a little bit ago, maybe about an hour ago to, okay, not an hour ago, but here at the Flor Fest. And so what made you want to participate?
I'll be totally honest, a lot of my favorites from around town were already on the fest, and the final straw was Richard, who will be playing later as from Circumstances, was on there, and he's one of my best friends, one of my shining stars in general, so that tipped me over into going, okay, I'm going to play. And then I actually asked him what set he wanted on me for this, so he decided that it was going to be an all-vocal set, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you didn't know which what instrument you were going to be playing. You're just like, I'll do.
No, but it was weeks ago that I added on relatively last minute. Like there's already 20 plus acts on there. So, but I immediately was like, okay, I need you to help me decide what set am I doing. He's like, all vocal set. I'm like, okay.
So besides From Circumstances, is there other bands that you'd love to?
Is easily one of the most underrated solo artists in this entire region of Central Illinois. Yeah.
Well, it was just recently that I saw when she posted Word Search that I was like, oh, and then I checked it out, and I'm just, I have to get her on the show. Yeah, so anyway, besides that, I mean, I think it's a pretty amazing lineup and benefiting the Up Center and just in the IMC. I just don't. I mean, you've played a few shows in the IMC, and so is this like? Would you? So tell me, what is
probably the biggest lineup by sheer acts that I've seen in the IMC? Yeah.
Have you played a lot at the IMC here?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially in the last year and a half or so. Yeah.
Right. So would you say this is your favorite venue?
Easily at this point. There was a basement venue by the name of Ghost Planet, and they tended towards, Dingbat Dungeon existed before that in the same space, but Ghost Planet was very friendly to experimental music, and now that that's no longer a consistent venue, it's been pretty much IMC.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate the fact that IMC is always open to different things and just amazing events, and it's usually just, anyway, I'm stumbling over my words, but anyway.
I mean, I'm doing it too. I'm probably talking twice as fast as I believe I am, so,
You're good. Yeah. Anything you'd like to just say about the Flor Fest in general?
It's the most unfortunate situation that it's happening during Boneyard when everything is happening in town, because people are giving it their all for this, and there's so many people who they're going to other things.
Well, I believe actually that Boneyard included Flor Fest as part of this festivity too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that is cool. It's just there's so many things going on.
Well, as soon as things get warmer, that's like I always have to make that terrible or great choice. The fact that there's lots of things to go to.
There were people who they mean well, and I'm not calling them out per se, but it's kind of like a foresight thing. I've been, like I kind of said before my set, I've been at this a while, so people say things completely genuinely, and they go, yeah, I'm just kind of hibernating right now, it's winter, I'll come out to a show. I just kind of want to be like, no, you're not. And that's okay, because there'll be everyone musically is coming out of hibernation, and you will pick one of those shows. And, I'm very much about sincerity and just being honest with each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like that's exactly what your music is, too, is like, it's very honest, right?
Yeah.
You don't really...
Inconveniently at times, I'm sure.
Oh, I just feel it's very honest. It's exactly, you don't hold back, and I love that about your set every time.
Around the time that I started doing that song, which would be about 2009, especially by 2010, I was playing every show like it was going to be my last one, like outright.
Well, I think
darker times.
Did you really? Oh, I thought. No, it's fine. I thought you were like, I'm just, I'm doing it as a. But yeah,
I very nearly was quitting after almost every show, and just just pouring everything out into it.
Well, I'm happy to
I'm
happy to
with
say that
myself
you're
at
coming
this
out,
point. Yeah.
and doing this. So, thank you so much, Karthik. I appreciate you
thank you so
talking.
much.
Is there anything else you wanted to?
Support your local musician, and that doesn't necessarily always mean payment or buying their record. Sometimes it's just checking in with them and being kind.
All right, excellent. That's a wonderful point. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm Colleen Deremiah, aka Warm Darn.
All right, and so how did you get involved with Flor Fest?
Well, I saw that it was announced, I think, on Facebook, and then Edgar reached out to me, Edgar Cuevas, and I offered to do it because of the Up Center. I want to support the Up Center, you know. I think that they do a lot of good for the queer community in town, you know. It's fun.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you. How do you feel about your set tonight or whatever?
It went well. Yeah,
Good.
I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
It was good to finally see you perform, and I wasn't sure exactly how you created the sounds that you did and all that kind of thing. So hopefully I'll get you on the podcast and we can talk about how you construct that. So,
Deal.
But thank you so much, Colleen, for interviewing.
Thank you.
Since Flor Fest is not just about music, it's also about poetry, I spoke with Ben, who had recently just performed his own work.
Ben, you read your poetry for the Flor Fest. How did you get involved with the Flor Fest?
I actually found out about it at Quad Day. I was just walking by and they were like, "Hey, do you like poetry?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, so it was through Flor Poetry that you got hooked into the Flor Fest. Awesome. Excellent. So is there a particular reason that you wanted to be a part of Flor Fest?
Well, I'm a really active member of the Poetry Club, and I really dig local music, and I like to perform too, so it's a good combination.
Excellent. Is there any, so far, how have you been enjoying the Flor Fest?
It's been fun, yeah. It's been a wide range of different genres, and from the poetry to the music, and yeah, it's been fun so far.
All right, we got Edgar again.
Oh, hey, this is Edgar. I think Flor Fest, it's kind of it's my first festival ever hosting or show, so it's kind of hard to predict how many people are coming, but apparently this is a pretty good show up for a DIY show in the Champaign-Urbana area. So I'm still proud of it, but I hope that more people come when the headliners play and stuff.
Right. Well, I still think this is a great turnout because it's not super crowded, but it feels good. It's good energy and that kind of thing. But how are your nerves?
They're pretty relaxed. At this point, I'm just hungry of anything. It's been a long day. I only had lunch.
I feel like this is great. You're gonna have a good turnout, and if you do this every year, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So I'd be afraid if this was packed to the gills, because then you'd have to find a bigger venue. But anyway, you did a good job. You did a really good job. I'm impressed. All right, so we've got Danny here again. So how do you think it's going so far?
I think it's actually going really well. The turnout is better than I expected, to be honest, especially now that our bigger bands are coming on. So they're bringing a lot of out-of-town fans, so that's really good. We had about 30 to 40 people here for our singer-songwriters, and for that type of environment, that's really good. So
That's excellent. Excellent.
This is turning out to be a really good event. All the hard work is paying off.
I know, and there will be a point at which I don't know how you're feeling in terms of just like stress level and that kind of thing, but is it starting to ease up?
It's not that it's been stressful. It's just been really busy, so I haven't really been able to appreciate or enjoy the music as much as I thought I would. But that's fine because everyone else is. I'm kind of in charge of just being sure like everybody's having a good time, everybody's paying, so I have to keep like running off in every direction.
Who am I giving money to for Fest?
Me. Like, yeah, exactly like that.
And just like that, we were drowned out by the Flor Fest.
No, that's great.
All right, so this interview would not be complete until I actually got an opportunity to talk to the president and vice president of the Up Center and hear about all the wonderful things that they do for this community. Oh, did I mention that they also were completely surprised by being the beneficiary of the Flor Fest?
Hi, Sven. Thanks for having us. My name is William Blanchard. I'm president of the Up Center of Champaign County.
Okay.
And I'm Nathan Alexander, the vice president.
You heard that just recently that the Flor Fest was going to be donating the proceeds from this event to the Up Center.
So this past Tuesday, we read in the News Gazette that the festival that we had heard was coming up in Urbana was donating their proceeds to the Up Center, which was a shot of adrenaline to the heart, but truly gratifying to realize that while Danny and Edgar and their entire team were putting this together, they had thought of the LGBT community and how they could contribute.
Really nice that it's here at the IMC, which I feel like is a community center that manages to be everything inclusive as possible, that kind of thing.
One of the things that we've kind of tried to work strongly on is working with the local campus RSOs in the past, and so we're very happy to have any campus participations as a non-campus entity.
Would you like to just say a little something about what the Up Center does and provides as services to the Champaign-Urbana community?
So the Up Center has been around for nearly 10 years. We'll be celebrating our 10th year this coming fall. Our services are geared primarily towards LGBTQ youth, the folks who are least able to represent themselves, the folks who often find themselves at odds with the existing systems at school, with the police, with child services, especially if they have trouble with their families. So we try to bridge that gap for them. We also provide groups for parents of LGBTQ children and youth.
So the Up Center really provides, our main focus is on LGBT youth, and we do a once-a-week support group that is generally divided into kind of a structured time to help develop some soft skills or help better manage some emotional capacities that they may be experiencing in their day-to-day life. And then we really try to have the second hour really be about socialization and interpersonal connection. Aside from this group, we also do a parents group where parenting of LGBT youth is not always straightforward, and it helps to have that support network with parents. Some of our other initiatives in the community are currently we've partnered with Howard Brown Health up in Chicago to start bringing some continuing education credits down here. So for licensed mental health providers, there will be a continuing education on how to better care for the behavioral and mental health needs of trans and gender nonconforming individuals.
Oh, wow.
And that's on May 24th as part of the LGBTQ plus research symposium hosted by the School of Social Work.
I kind of feel it's appropriate that like the Flor Fest should be. I kind of feel it's appropriate that like the Flor Fest should be donating to the Up Center, just because we're talking music, we're talking poetry, we're talking expressions of I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but
you're absolutely right, Sven. We really appreciate the celebration of music and art that we're participating in today. The Up Center, in addition, has our art show occurring at the University YMCA.
Okay.
Celebrating LGBT-focused art and LGBT artists. We're excited that half of the art has come from either our youth or youth from local GSAs.
Okay. When you say GSAs, do you, what does that mean?
GSAs, a trend that started, I'd say, maybe 20, 25 years ago as gay-straight alliances.
Okay.
Now the language is shifting, and they're often referred to as gender and sexuality alliances.
Okay.
They are groups
Yeah.
in local high schools, and now even in junior high schools and elementary schools.
Okay.
For young people who identify as part of the queer community, and for young people who want to support the queer community.
Okay. I was unaware of that. Well, in my day, that wasn't something that existed, and that's...
Having been young people a bit longer ago, we're also happy to see the change. We happen to both grow up in Southern Illinois, and that wasn't a thing back then either. Thank you, Sven, and we appreciate you highlighting the efforts of local college students, the efforts of Illinois artists, and highlighting the small work that we're doing in the community to try to help lift everyone up.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Yeah.
And thank you. And I also just want to say that it's amazing to see what a relatively new RSO has been able to accomplish, and we're excited to see them continue. They're already planning next year, so that's exciting.
So I thought it would be a good idea to just go ahead and check back in with Nick and see how they were doing.
So we're back with Nick, and so how do you feel like now that you're past the halfway point? How do things feel at the Flor Fest now?
This has been a huge success.
Excellent.
It's gone extremely well so far. We're about 9 o'clock, 9:30, and we've already achieved our goal money-wise for the Up Center.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've had over $500 come in, and that's the craziest thing I've seen for an IMC show in the 2 years I've booked. There are so many people in there right now.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So, like, Edgar and Dani both were saying, like, I know you downplayed your role, but they both were like, you put a hell of a lot of work into this. So, kudos to you, and like, you can take some pride in the fact that this turned out so great. I'm just saying that. I'm giving you a shout out. So.
I appreciate that. It has given me literal headaches, like whole day worths of headaches trying to set this up, but it has come to fruition and I'm enjoying it.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this bonus episode of the Flor Fest. So I know that the Flor Fest happened, well, over 2 months ago, but I've been holding on to it because I've been trying to keep up with having an episode released every 2 weeks, and I got caught up in trying to make sure these came out. So thank you for everybody that listened to this and approved it. I want to give a special shout out to all the interviewees: Edgar, Dania, also known as Dani, Nick, Karthik, Colleen, Ben, William, and Nathan, for just taking the time, indulging my questions, and it's really wonderful. And you know what? Find that local event wherever you are. I mean, hopefully in Champaign-Urbana, but go find that local event wherever you live and celebrate it, because you know what? There's great music out there, and you just got to find it where you live. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Champaign is Also a Band podcast. This is Sven, reminding you, great music is out there. Go find it where you live. No, really, go find it right now. Go. Go on. I'll wait. I'll be right here.
You almost have an NPR voice. It's so good.
Studio, sound speaker on the inside.